Yo, 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 welcome to the podcast. This is Big Reptile Talk, the podcast where we talk to everybody. We chat with them, see what they got going on. If you're an animal lover, I want to talk to you. Before we get started, as always, much love to the sponsors. Without them, we couldn't be doing what we do. We have so many amazing people that sponsor us. Ozzy Boys, Basement Pythons, Heathen Hatchery, Stone Age Ball Pythons, Mahi Mutations, Morphed Ambitions, Fries Critters, Large Marge Morse, MKL Exotics. The list is endless, man. We got a lot of supporters. I'm very excited about today. Today we're talking to one of the kings of geckos, man. He's been up to so much, man. I'm just excited to chat with him. I'm a super fan. So when we come back, we're going to have David from Tiki's Geckos, man. Y'all don't go nowhere.
Whoa. Big reptile talk. Yeah, we working. Talking about service. Big reptile talk. When it comes to talking about snakes, yeah. Love that we got for them effect, yeah. Big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles. Yeah, big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles.
As always, welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited. We got Tiki's Geckos in the building, man. How you doing today, brother?
What's up, Derek? I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm excited to chat with you. Before we start, man, I got to tell you, and you're going to laugh at me, but I said, this man got P. Diddy money, and I'm going to tell you what I mean. I said, this brother's in Turks and Caicos. He didn't propose to his woman. Where was y'all at, man? Where was y'all at? The Bahamas? Where was y'all at?
That was Hawaii, brother. That was Hawaii. We had Hawaii is a very special place for me. I love Hawaii, and I wanted to take her there. And then, of course, I had to pop the question because it was so beautiful. It was a perfect moment.
Man, how does that feel, man? To have your lovely lady now she's soon to be your wife. Like, how does that feel? I'm married, so I know how it feels. But for you, man, like you're about to be married. How does that feel, bro?
Thanks, bro. So actually, I am already married. We
Oh, are you?
had a yeah. We did like a low key shotgun wedding just because basically because of my legal status in the country. We just wanted to get all the paperwork started so I could be able to travel outside the country with her. And but yeah, so we're super excited. You know, we're gonna eventually do like the renewal of the vows, and we'll have a big party and invite everybody, and it'll be more out there. But this wedding was like very private, very just our families basically, and you know it was fun. It was a good time.
That's amazing, man. I'm happy for you, bro. Now I seen it. I was scrolling my Instagram. I said, where's Tiki's Geckos at? I said, this brother's in Turks and Caicos. I love it, man. Now speaking of your lady, man, I want to talk about a video I seen on Instagram, man. Like you had just produced a gecko. I think it was like an exotic gecko. You were like, it's a world's first. Your hand was shaking. She was making fun of you. Can we talk about what was that gecko that you had just produced?
Yeah, so that was actually a phantom axanthic lily white, and that's like, you know, that's a double recessive gene with one incomplete dominant gene, and it's a really special animal because we've been working a long time to be able to produce something like that. You know, a couple other people, especially the guys over in Korea, man, they've been killing it. They've been producing some really nice ones already, but that was my first, so it was really special for me.
Man, that's why you one of the kings of geckos, man. I love it. Eventually, I want to get me one of those. Now we got to talk. Like I feel like you down in Florida. I feel like you got the cheat code, so we got to talk about that. Of course, you have the big conversation between like wild caught and captive born and bred. I feel like you down there, you can catch anything, breed it, and sell it. So I feel like that's the cheat code. But what's your take on it? How do you feel about wild caught versus captive born and bred? I believe you did a YouTube video on it, but anyways, tell us how you feel.
Yeah. We did do a YouTube video on it. So the way I feel, so my feelings towards it have changed over time. I think it's just anybody who's in any hobby or business or any type of these things, if you're in it long enough, your points of views are going to change. You might get new, information that may change your view about it. But basically, right now, the way I feel is that I don't think we should, ban wild caught animals or anything like that. But I do feel like that those animals should be reserved for the more experienced keepers, the more, the breeders who are looking to add new blood into their bloodlines. If, for example, with panther chameleons or whatever else that is wild caught. And the thing about it right now is that it's so cheap. The imported animals are so cheap that it tends to be the new keepers who get wild caught animals and then they have a bad experience. So I always try to tell people, if you're a new keeper, even though you might pay an extra $100 or $200 for a captive bred reptile, you might want to go that route so you don't get the heartache of the vet visits and then obviously the animal, perishing if you're not well versed in the animal's care already.
Right, I agree with you. I think that you need, like you said, you need both sides of it. You need the well off captive born and bred for the new people, and the wild caught. That way you can establish a line and then get it to where you can start selling babies that are captive born and bred. So I agree with you, man. Now I got to ask you, being, to me, you guys are the kings of geckos. So I gotta ask, like, where's your heart at? Because there's so many geckos. You got day geckos, crested geckos, you got leopard geckos, Toki geckos. So where's your heart? Like, what is David's heart? Like, what's your heart of geckos? Your favorite?
I would have to, you know what, Derek? I actually go back and forth all the time. People ask me this question all the time, and I always say it's like, it's some days it's crested geckos, some days it's gargoyle geckos, but those two are my favorites. Right now, I'm gonna say gargoyle geckos just because I have a very special project going with these like hypo-ish or maybe even amelanistic geckos, gargoyle geckos that I have that I'm trying to prove out, and all the Deadpool line stuff, and that just like I just absolutely love that stuff, man.
My favorite.
What?
I
Which
was
one?
I was I was telling my wife the other day because I kept checking your website. And y'all stay sold out of them. Y'all never have Toki geckos. But
Yeah.
I was checking. And I told my wife, I said, I like leopard geckos. That's too beginnerish for me. I want something different. I said, I'm not a noob. I'm not a newbie. I said, honey, I want a Toki gecko. I'm gonna keep checking their website, but finally, eventually, I found a Toki gecko. I love Toki geckos. They're so they're not like necessarily aggressive, but they're called the pit bull of geckos.
Yeah. I like to say defensive because the animal's not gonna like jump off the walls and attack you, but it's definitely gonna try to bite you if you try to grab it. So I like to say defensive. But yeah, man, they're really, really awesome geckos. If they were puppy dog tame like a crested gecko, they'd be like one of the top three most popular geckos for sure.
Now, see, I gotta interrupt you. Though, because see, I'm gonna tell you why I don't like crested geckos, and you tell me like a way of stopping this. I like geckos. I like leopard geckos. I like Toki geckos. I like day geckos, and of course, all three of those can lose their tails. But it seems like every time I see a crested gecko, I call it the frog butt, and I'll
Yeah,
be like that. I'll be like, that thing looks like it has a frog ass. And I'd
yeah.
be like, I was like, I can't just grasp my eyes and be like, I want a crested gecko. So my question to you is, like, I feel like when are you gonna? You should come out with something like called like the Tiki's geckos method of stopping crested geckos from dropping their tails, man.
Yeah, bro. I mean, it's funny. It's like some geckos will be so tough and nothing can scare them. They'll never drop their tails. I have geckos that are like over 10 years old, still with their original tail. Obviously, nothing goes wrong. And then I have other geckos that you put them in a deli cup and then you move them from one place to another, and they just start freaking out and drop their tail. So it's so annoying sometimes, but I've gotten used to the look. I think a lot of the crested gecko people have, and that's why people. It doesn't really affect the value of the gecko. Like people still buy them and breed them or whatever. But some people actually prefer frog butts. I have people all the time that will message me and say, "Hey, I want a frog butt. Like I don't want a gecko with a tail. I actually want a frog butt." So to each
See,
their own.
But see, that's what you do. You could patent it, a way of of calling it the Tiki's Geckos method of keeping it from dropping their tails and make a
Yeah.
fortune, man.
I'm just gonna stitch the tail together, so even if it decides to drop it, it'll just stay there. It'll be limp.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Now being and like I said, I love chatting with you, man, because I'm such a fan. Being like a king in the hobby, man. Where did you first start? You have so many geckos, but what was, I don't know if you can remember because you've been doing this so long, but what was like that very first project, your very first gecko project?
Well, so back in the day, I had crested geckos, I had bearded dragons, all that growing up, but there was one gecko that I got from AC Reptiles back in the day, and that gecko, I got it shipped to me, and when I opened up that box and I saw how orange, it was like a Halloween, so it had like really dark base color and then the bright orange markings. I was like, oh crap, like. Because before then I had just like normal crested geckos, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, you could like make these cool colors and you could make them look 10 times better than the pet store geckos. I was like, okay, maybe I want to breed. So that's like the first like itch that I got to want to breed geckos was when I saw that first crested gecko, and the colors were just so outrageous at the time. I just couldn't believe it.
Right, right, right. I love it. I love that. I love seeing where people first started and seeing where they are, and it's so much. It's endless possibilities, man. It's so much room for you to just to keep going. But since you're here, I got to start. I like giving hot seat questions, man. So are you ready?
I'm ready, man.
You
Born
have you
ready.
have a you have an amazing wife. So my question to you is so many amazing man and women duos out there. So what man and woman duo best describes you and your wife? Joker and Harley Quinn, Snoop and Martha, Superman, Superwoman, Sonny and Cher, Bobby and Whitney, or Beyonce and Jay-Z?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna say Beyonce and Jay Z, dude. Bro,
Okay.
I love that they're both like go getters, and Daniela is like, she's like always doing something, right? She has like right now actually she's at her business partner's house, and they do like event planning and weddings and like parties, and they're just like working. If she's not working on that, she's working for me. She's bartending on the side. She's just always hustling, and obviously like we're I think together we're like a power couple because with her I feel like I could do anything. I feel like I could really just. She helps me so much in our business. Like she has taken our level of customer service to another level, and that's why I feel like Jay Z and Beyonce.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Love, man. Beyonce and Jay Z of the Gecko Kingdom, man. I love that. I love it, man. Now, of course, I like having fun, but I want people to come here and learn a little bit. So I want to talk about like Gecko diets, man. And I say that to say, like, a lot of people that go to PetSmart, they'll get a gecko and they'll think like, oh well, this little bag of gecko food is good. And my question is like, what do you think is like the best diets for crested geckos, leopard geckos? Do you think that they should just stick to the package? It's like a little package of
Yeah.
like little liquid food. Do you think they should just stick to that, or do you think they should vary between like crickets, mealworms, superworms? What do you think is the best diet when it comes to geckos?
So of course it goes by species, but when we're talking about like the crested geckos, all the new Caledonian geckos, crested, gargoyle, giant, lychee geckos, prehensile tail geckos, the best two diets out right now are going to be Rapashi and Pangea. And of course, they are complete diets, so technically you could just feed that, but we always recommend to try to feed insects at least once a week. And certain species will like insects more than others, but it is super important that you get the insects in their diet because it adds that much more protein, fats, and it gets geckos growing a lot quicker, and they grow to a bigger size at the end of the day.
See, when I got my Toki Gecko, the guy I got it from, he was like, "Well, he only eats crickets." And when he said that, I was kind of hesitant because I was like, "I want all my animals to have like a diverse diet. I want to be able to give them whether it's crickets, super worms, meal, those what are the little white ones, wax worms, I think. I want to give him a varied diet. So I was like, I don't know if I want to mess with this guy.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, man, why y'all ain't got Toki Geckos? They sell out every time.
I was just gonna tell you, we just got some in like yesterday. So it's
I'll
funny
be damned.
because we just got some in yesterday, and we have 2 captive hatch babies, and then we have some other wild caught ones. But we did just get them in, so if you still want some, we got you. I got you, bro.
What I feel that I might need to get me one. I thought about trying to breed them now. What's the fastest sellers on the website? The Crested Geckos or the day geckos or the Tokis?
Crested geckos for sure. I think
Crested.
most people know me for my crested geckos, and just the popularity has exploded in the last couple of years with all the new morphs and stuff. So a lot of people are starting to get into the hobby right now.
Right now. What are your plans for that new one you just hatched, man? Are you gonna try and double it up and just keep breeding more of that one? That what was it you said, like an Exantic? What was the morph you said?
Yeah, the Phantom Exantic Lily White. So
that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do I want to keep them, and I want to eventually breed them, grow it out and breed it, just because, when you hatch it in your own facility, you're not going to have to pay the crazy price tag that comes with it if you're to get it from another breeder. And it's a genetic powerhouse, it just doesn't make sense for me to sell it at this point.
Right. I love that, man. I can't wait to see what you do with it, man. Now, I got to ask you this, man, because like I said, I want newer keepers to be able to come and just elevate. I want you to give that game, not necessarily give away your business secrets, but just help people elevate. So my question to you is, you started in the gecko game and you got to where you are. So my question to you is like, what is 3 of the things that you think you did that just helped you elevate your game?
3 of the things that I did. Well, the first thing was I didn't start by buying. I started off slow, basically. You want to build up as you go, because a lot of times what happens is if you have one gecko and you have a problem with that one gecko, you just have one gecko that you have to figure it out with. But if you have that problem with 50 geckos, then it's going to be a lot more of a headache, and then you risk losing more money or obviously the animals' lives. So you want to make sure that you start slow. You want to get your husbandry down to a T before you start to invest in these animals. I see a lot of people that just right off the bat, they say, oh, they look at dollar signs and they see these animals, and it's not like that. There's a lot of other things that go into breeding, and a lot of experience that you need to attain before you actually go out and just buy 50 geckos. So my first thing is start slow. Next thing is you got to learn, if you want to be a breeder, if you want to get into the reptile game, you have to learn how to market yourself and how to sell online. That is the most important thing that I could probably tell you today, because a lot of people rely on just Morph Market. A lot of people rely on just Instagram or just their TikTok if it's having success. But you have to be, you have to have your tentacles in a lot of different spots. That way, if one fails, you got the other tentacles, right? So diverse yourself. You have some diversity and learn how to market yourself and how to sell online. There's a lot of information out there already on YouTube. There's plenty of books. We put out a lot of videos talking about it as well. So that's my second tip. And my third tip, and this is probably one of the most important ones. I know I said that for the second one, but is doing it because you love it and doing it because it's your passion. And if you didn't make a dime for it, it wouldn't matter to you. You would still do it, because at the end of the day, it is a lot of work. And I always tell people, animals do not know it's Thanksgiving. Animals don't know it's the holiday season. They still need to get fed, cleaned, watered, everything. So if you're just doing it for the money, when those times come, you're going to slack off, and then the animals are going to suffer. So make sure you're in it for the right reason.
I agree. Since we're real quick, since we're talking about money, hold on real quick. We'll keep going in a second. Hold on. Mike's Monitor. Shout out to Mike's Monitors, one of the biggest big dogs in the monitor game. He wants to know, how long do Cresteds incubate?
So Crested Geckos typically incubate between like 70 to 100 days. Just depends on how hot or cold you incubate them. But typically I'll incubate them at room temperature, and they'll hatch in about 80 days or so.
Right. Thank you. You giving out that game, that knowledge, man. Now I gotta ask, because like I said, you've been doing this for years, and I want you to inspire people that's coming behind you. A lot of people, like you said, they get in the game. Shout out to my animals for that super chat, man. Much love, brother. I appreciate you. It's good to see you. A lot of people get in the game and they see those dollar signs and they get frustrated when they don't make no money. So, like, what do you think is a reasonable goal of getting in the gecko game and not being profitable? Like, do you think a person should be like, oh, well, I should be here at least 5 years before I think I can make a profit? How long do you think? What's a reasonable goal before they should set to be profitable?
Yeah, so nowadays it's a lot easier because of platforms like Morph Market, but it really all depends on how much the person invests in when they first get started. Because if you get some if you get some really, really high quality breeders from top, breeders, there's plenty of us out here that produce some really nice stuff. People are gonna recognize you and pay attention to you from the get-go. They're gonna look at you and say, "Oh, I want a gecko from those animals right away." But if you start off, like mid-level or at lower end animals, it's gonna be a lot harder because you have a lot more competition. Nothing sets you apart from the rest, and there's a million people out here already selling normal and mid-tier crested geckos. So it depends on how you start in it. If you go the first way about it, you invest in really high quality animals, and especially if you're investing in some of the newer morphs, you're typically gonna make your money back pretty soon if you have some sort of if you're having some sort of online presence. I would say in the first breeding season you could do that. If you are investing in some of the lower quality ones, it'll probably take you a couple of years, but there's upside and downside to each. One side, on one hand, you don't invest as much, so you got more time to learn. You got more. You're not gonna risk so much money or so much, valuable gecko. And then on the other hand, you're gonna take a higher risk, but you're gonna reap a higher reward. So it just depends on how you come in the game at first.
Y'all better pay attention to giving us that game, man. I love it, man, and I definitely appreciate it. Now I gotta be honest with you, Big D. You did something I don't like, man. I gotta tell you. We're talking about Gecko Diet.
Yeah. What I do, man? What I do, Derek? Don't cancel me, bro.
Hey, that's been going around a lot, man. Folks trying to cancel I
know.
If that motherfucker sneeze, cancel him.
Yeah.
Now you did something I don't like, man. We got to talk about it right quick, man. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean. We were talking about Gecko Diet, so I want to rewind for a second. And you promoted like Reptile or something. What is it? What did you say? What was it called?
Rapashi and Pangea.
Great. You promoted Rapashi and Pangea. And I don't like that. And I'm going to tell you why. I feel like you're the king of geckos. When are we going to get that Tiki's Geckos Gecko Diet? Like your face on the bag is gecko Derek, food.
Derek, you got a crystal ball or something there? You got something going on there? You read my mind or what? No, bro. Well, we are working on something. I didn't want to say anything yet because nothing is set in stone yet, but I am taking my first steps into making that a reality, and we will make that happen. That is something I've had in my mind for a lot of years now. We need that Tiki's Geckos Diet, and I think that's what's going to take our business to the next level as well. So it's going to come for sure. You better believe it.
I love that. So we're not promoting Pangea. We love Pangea. Shout out to Pangea. But don't get Pangea. Get Tiki's Geckos Diet. When it hits the market, it's going to have his face on there like this.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to clip this and post it everywhere.
I love it, man. I love it, man. That's what it's about, man. I love seeing people that conquer one thing. To me, you've conquered the gecko game. So I want to, I like seeing people branch out, whether it's Tiki's Gecko snake hooks or Gecko Diet or Gecko Cages. You know what I mean? I love seeing people just constantly advancing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. I told you, man. I'm the Jay-Z of this game. So cover for it all, bro. We got a lot of different projects. I don't know if you saw what I posted earlier or like a couple months ago, but I'm also gonna be working on a competition show for crested geckos and other gecko species. So that's another project I have going on, and that's gonna hopefully launch by the end of the year. And I'm really excited about that as well. That's gonna bring our breeding to the next level. It's think about like the AKC dog breeding competitions where they judge the dogs based on their structure and their breed. Something similar to that, but for geckos.
You know what you should do? That was actually one of my questions. You know what you should do? We got the reptile expos. That's cool. But shout out to Mike's monitors. I don't know if you know about Monitor Fest. You should have Gekko Fest or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, well, we have so much. There's still so much to do, so much to grow. So I wouldn't rule it out.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Now, another hot seat question, man. I think that you had, a fun life, an amazing life. You have an amazing woman, an amazing business. You live in your dream, being the king of geckos. So if I was an author and I was to write a book about your life, what would the title be?
Oh. Um. That's a hard one. Let me see. I don't want to be basic and say Gecko King or something like that. I want to make it more creative, but maybe. Oh man, that's hard, Derek. You gotta send me these questions before I can think about it.
What about this? I got one. The lives and times of the Gecko Don.
The Gecko Don. I like that. The life and times of the Gecko Don. That's
Yeah,
public.
you're the Don. I love that. I love it, man. Now, thank you, for coming. You're giving us that knowledge. You're giving us that game, and I love it. So I want to keep going down that road for a second. When it comes to geckos, there's so many of them. So give me that knowledge. What do you think? And of course, it's just it's not necessarily just putting the female and male together, but the question that I want to ask is, for those future gecko breeders, what do you think is the hardest one to breed? The one that you kind of have the most trouble with when you was first getting into the game, that you just had problems with and you couldn't get them to breed.
Yeah. So, well, there's a lot of different species of geckos that are very hard to breed. Out of the more let's say mainstream ones, some of the harder ones are going to be the Chihuahua and the GT Lichianes. So I make that distinction between the GT Lichianes because there's different localities of the lychees, right? The giant geckos. The ones that come from the main island are the largest of them all. And those are the hardest ones to breed because they could do so much damage to each other and they have to be compatible. If you don't pair them up correctly, they could literally tear their heads off. I've posted videos on our Instagram and social media of animals that didn't take to each other and they end up getting really nasty injuries. So that's one of them that you really need to do your research. You really need to make sure you pair them up correctly, because if you just think they're gonna crested geckos or leopard geckos, you put a male and female together, you are gonna wake up and you're gonna walk into a nature's metal scene. It's gonna be pretty. So you want to make sure that you do your research. But the lychees are hard to pair, and the Chihuahuas, you gotta watch the females carefully because they crash with their calcium right away if you don't provide the proper calcium, the proper variety in insects, like we were talking earlier, and obviously the proper supplementation.
Right. Man, dropping them gems, man. That's what I'm glad you're here. You dropping gems, man.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me, man.
I appreciate. I know you just did one last night.
I love the energy you always bring, bro. So I appreciate you, hosting this and you always. I remember when I first heard of you, you were getting Jay Brewer, Chandler back to back, and then you ask me, I'm like, yeah, bro, let's go. Like, all the
I
big ones.
appreciate that. I
Yeah. So,
appreciate that. I like it. That's what it's about, man. Hanging out with just amazing people and chatting with them and seeing what they're doing, man. It's something that I enjoy. You know what I mean? So, and thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. Now, what's one thing that you would tell all gecko breeders? Like, if every gecko person that was breeding was watching right now, what's that one thing you tell everybody that was watching?
my one thing I would tell them would be like to breed with intent. Don't just breed to like, oh, I just want to breed something together and that's it. No, really think about what your goal is with the male and the female that you're pairing together. Have some sort of, imagine an animal that you want that kind of like piggybacks off of those traits of your male and female, and go off of that. Try to refine the morphs, try to refine the colors, the patterns, and make the overall gecko a better, specimen, better specimens. Not just, oh, breed this brown gecko to a red gecko and then I'll get whatever I want or whatever pops out. Just really think about what you're doing. There's enough geckos out there that are normal, that are, they're perfectly fine. But if you want to stand out, make sure you put some thought behind your breeding.
I love that answer, man. I love that. Now, we talked about geckos. We talked about, just breeding, the diets. We had a little fun. Now, I kind of want to switch over to like the social media side, man, because you're a social media giant, man. TikTok, not TikTok, Instagram over 100K. I don't check your TikTok, but Instagram over 100,000. YouTube 87,000. I don't even know what TikTok got, man. But
TikTok,
you're
165,000 or something like that.
165.
265. And you know what's funny? TikTok is the one I have put the least amount of work in, and it's the one that I have the most followers. It's crazy.
I love it, man. I love it. Now, I know you humble. I know you down to earth, but I don't really want a humble answer, man. I want you to flex a little bit. How does that feel having these hundreds of thousands of people
I'm the
watching you,
best.
man?
Nah, man. Honestly, bro, I really, when I look back at it, I don't even think about how long I've been doing it, and I think that's the key. It's the consistency and how long you do it, because anybody could get to this point as long as they do it with some consistency. I see a lot of people that will post here and there, but they don't have the consistency. They'll take a month off or whatever, and you can't do that in these social media, platforms. The algorithm wants you to feed it, so you want to put out content that people want to watch, and that's why I think that's what we do best than anybody else in the gecko game, for sure.
Right. But I've been trying to grow on YouTube. I've been cheating. I've noticed that it's harder to get people to watch long form content, but I've been growing faster off of YouTube Shorts. I got 3 or 4 shorts that got 10 million views, and it's you get a short that get 10 million views. I got one short that got me 20,000 subscribers, and it's like, yeah, and like right now I think I'm at like 72,000. So I've noticed on YouTube, they're trying to compete with TikTok and Instagram Reels. You can grow really fast with YouTube Shorts. So my question, since we're talking about YouTube, man, I see you grinding on YouTube, 87,000. So my question to you is like, where's the YouTube plat going, man?
Yeah, so like you said, you made a very good point. YouTube Shorts are helping out a lot. I think that's a really good strategy. And I think, I've always had my mind on those plaques, the silver plaque and the plaque. So I'm like, I'm like just nonstop right now until I get at least that silver plaque for the 100K subscribers. And I hear everybody say like, like Mr. Beast and everybody on YouTube say like, subscribers don't matter as much anymore, but I just want that plaque, man. I want that plaque so bad. So
yes, dude, I'm the same way. I don't care about subscribers. I want the plaque. Once I get the 100K, I'll be good. Once I hit 100K and get the silver plaque, I'm cool. I don't care about nothing else. But
I'll have it in the back. And every podcast you have me on, I'm gonna just have it right here. So,
I love that. I got 2 video ideas for you, man.
Oh, tell me, man. I need more.
So the first one is a wife prank, man. So I know that she's around the animals. She likes geckos. She likes, all the. I've seen her with lambs and stuff on Instagram. So my question to you is, how does she feel about spiders, man?
Bro, spiders, she's all right. She's not super scared of them, but what she is scared of are cockroaches. She will like flip a shit, bro. If there's a cockroach, she screams like somebody just shot her. And I'm like, babe, we feed cockroaches. Like, we have plenty of animals that eat insects. She doesn't care about crickets, superworms, whatever. She has no problem with that. She'll grab them. But the second she even sees a cockroach, she is flipping out, throwing shit, yelling everywhere. So maybe I'll plan something and I'll tag you and we'll
You
go fake
you
cockroach.
definitely should. You definitely should. You should do a wife prank with roaches. Now here's the second video. This is a more I think would be just an awesome idea. Have you ever heard of Reptiliatis?
Yeah, of course.
Man, I would love to see you and him link up and do a video like on Tokis, any kind of geckos. Man, I think that'd be dope.
Yeah, you know what? We may make that happen because he is coming down to Florida for Animal Con, and I've met him I think a couple times. I've met him a couple times, and he's a cool dude, super super humble, super cool guy. And so yeah, I'm gonna try to make that happen. Last Animal Con, I didn't really do any like collaborator stuff like that. We did one with Brian Barchek, and then we put it on our YouTube membership channel or whatever. But we definitely got to do something with him. I've been watching his stuff for a long time, so I like his videos a lot.
You know what made me like? Of course, I had Reptile. I had I think his name was like Dialon or something. Reptiliatis.
Yeah,
He's been on my pod. He's been on my podcast. Got to plug that. Now you know what made me. I almost didn't think he was real. You know why? Because when I got my Toki Gecko, I was looking up some videos. Do you know he's got Toki Geckos that will walk up to him and walk up his arm and won't even bite him?
yeah, I know, dude. I seen him. I see he does really great work. He has the the patience and he understands animals. He understands how to get them to not basically fear him. But I definitely got to do something with him. I think it'll be a lot of fun. After this, I'm gonna send them a message and see for Animal Con if we could plan something out.
You should, because I know when I walk in my reptile room and my Toki Gecko sees me, it literally screams and runs. So I don't know. I like him now. It literally barks and runs and hides. So I don't know. Anyways, I want to talk also, man. I want to talk about shipping, man, because there's two reptile giants, reptile shipping companies, giants. And I love seeing them go back and forth, fight for the business of the reptile community. I love friendly competition. So who do you ship with? I'm curious. Ship your reptiles or Redline shipping?
Neither.
You don't use neither one?
No, brother. I ship. I have my own account with UPS, and I ship through my own account. We do enough packages that they approved of for live animal shipments. So we do ourselves. We do our own thing.
Tiki, you gotta use Redline, man. You gotta use Redline shipping.
I like. Well, I've never used Redline shipping. I've used Ship Your Reptiles. I like what they do. Redline, I forgot the gentleman's name, but I met him at Tinley. He's a cool guy. But I've known Chad a little bit longer. So if I had to choose, I choose Ship Your Reptiles.
You just want to use Chad because he's an ex-NFL player. You ain't slick.
No, I've known him for longer. He's a cool dude, man. We've chatted it up at Tinley before, but I like you said, I love the competition. I think it's good to have two different options, and there's I think there's 3 or 4 different options actually. We used to use a lot of Reptiles Express, and I think they're in Georgia, but they do a lot of. There's Reptiles to You also. Debbie, she does awesome. I've never shipped with Debbie, but I know her and I love her because I always see her at the show. She's super polite. But if Redline Shipping is one of your sponsors, then ship with Redline.
I love that. I love that. Shout out to Redline Shipping. Shout out to Rodlin Barkley, man, the best in the business. Now I got to ask, real quick, and we're getting ready to switch off the social media side. But my question to you is, how do you feel about bite videos? And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean it in a negative way, but there are a lot of people have came up off of bite videos, and they get a lot of exposure from it. So have you ever thought about having showing a Toki Gecko biting your hand and seeing if you can get like a short to explode? What's your take on bite videos?
Bite videos, I think there's a place for them. I think it brings that wow factor. People can relate with that when they see like, oh, I wouldn't want to get bit by that, and then they get bit, and then whoever's behind the camera gets bit. We've done a couple bite videos with Toki geckos. We don't do them as often, but I think I'm not in the school of those people who think, you should never do a bite video. It brings a bad light to our community. I don't believe in any of that. I think, people are really sensitive these days. So
I think it's room for everything, like you said, it's room for everybody.
There's room for everything. And people have to understand the context of whatever video you're watching, and don't be such an idiot. Like everything, there's more to. If you're watching that video and you think, oh, Toki Gecko is evil because it's biting someone, then you probably shouldn't have any animals anyway. So
right. I agree. I definitely agree. Now. And I don't mean this in a bad way. There's a lot, like you said, we were talking about nerd and exposed videos and everybody canceling everybody. So my question to you is, and I want you to say something positive, not negative. But let's say I was like, Tiki's geckos, I'm getting ready to expose them. If I was going to expose you, what would I be exposing you for? So give me something positive. If I was to say, I'm going to if I was making an exposed video about Tiki's geckos, what would I find? Now, now I want you to boost yourself up. Tell me something. What would I find? Something positive.
Well, I mean, I think you'd find that we take the best care of our animals as we possibly can. Of course, there's always going to be, animals that end up getting sick or end up passing away. That's normal. That's when you deal with thousands of animals, it's going to happen. But, there's been a lot of crazy stuff happening in the community, like with this. I don't know the guy's name, but with some big Burmese or
oh yeah, Slither, Samson Pruitt, yep.
Samson Pruitt. So I don't know. I saw some pictures that were absolutely horrendous. I take pride in that everything that I see at my facility, I could safely say I could put on YouTube, I could put online, and we wouldn't be freaking canceled for. And also another thing is our not our social media, our customer service is second to none. I'll put this out here right now. No one that sells geckos has the same kind of customer service that we have. We call every single customer, we talk to them, we make sure they have the right setup, we make sure they know what animal they're getting. Once they get the gecko or whatever animal we send, we make sure it got there fine. Where we have an open line of communication at all times. I have people that bought 2 geckos from me 10 years ago that I could still talk to and still answer their questions. So our customer service is unparalleled, and I think that's what I guess you would expose me.
I love that. That's it though. That's the reason I'm asking that question, because I want my podcast to be about positivity. So that's why I say, if I was to expose you, tell me something positive that I would find. And I love that. You have great, you take great care of your animals and great customer service. And that's excellent. So that's why I asked that question. If I was to make an exposed video about you, tell me something that I will find, but make it positive. I want to spread positivity out there instead of a lot of the negative stuff I see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. I know, like, a lot of those guys like Donnie and the nerd guys, which, by the way, I consider them friends and stuff. I'm cool with them, but they take a different approach to things that I necessarily wouldn't take, and I don't agree with it. But at the same time, I am not one of those people that if you do something wrong or something I disagree with, I'm never going to talk to you again. I'm not like right. You, Eric. You could do something I don't like, and I'll still be cool with you as long as I mean, as long as you don't kill nobody or anything, but I'm not
Right.
I'm not like super sensitive about things like that. I look at people's intent more than I do their actions, because a lot of people can make a mistake, or they're still learning or whatever. So I look at the intent more than anything.
I love that. I love that. That's just such a great answer. It's just I want people to thrive more on the positive stuff in the hobby than the negative stuff. So just excellent answer, man. Now I got a couple more questions. Like I said, I like to keep my podcast to an hour, so it's always room for another round. But you just a couple days ago we're at a Reptile Expo. I love that because I wanted to talk to you about Reptile Expos for a second. And what I mean by that is, like I said, I want Gecko people to be able to come to this podcast, have fun, and learn too before they leave. So my question to you is, what are some tips for people like that are selling geckos that hit the Reptile Expo but might not actually make sales? Like, what are your tips for that person that's not selling his geckos at the Reptile Expo? What should they be doing?
Okay, so there's a lot of things you could do. First thing, you want to have some sort of clean image. You don't want your tablecloth to be dirty, your banner to be, badly designed. You want to have a clean image. You want your geckos to be displayed appropriately. So you want to have the clear deli cups. I see so many people at reptile shows that have the semi-clear deli cups, and when you're walking around and you look at it, you can't really see the animal for what it is. So it's like having a filter in front of the gecko. It makes no sense. So make sure you have the super clear deli cups. Make sure you have a clean image. Also, read a couple books or watch a couple videos on how to sell. You want to take body language into consideration. You want to be open, but you don't want to be too clingy or whatever on people. So it's a lot of work. When you go to a reptile show, you have a lot of competition around you, but you have the opportunity to stand out depending on how you act towards the people. You shouldn't think about, oh, if this person isn't going to buy a gecko, I'm not going to let them touch a gecko, because you're going to also close your doors. And I see a lot of people do that, where they don't want to take out their geckos and show them to the 5-year-old kid, because they think that kid is not going to buy a gecko. And at the end of the day, you may change that kid's life, like somebody did to me at one point at a reptile show, but you never know, that person could be a customer later on. You could give them a really great experience with the animal. They could take your card and then call you on later on. So those are super important. It's also really important to, for example, have a little bit of variety. So if you just have Crested Geckos and it's a bad Crested Gecko show, you may not do as well. But if you have Crested Geckos, Gargoyle Geckos, Leopard Geckos, then maybe Crested Geckos aren't doing so well at this show, but Leopard Geckos are selling really well. And you're going to have a better outcome of the show, and you're not going to go home empty-handed. So those are some of my tips that I could give for that.
I love that. I love that. You dropping jewels on us, David, and I appreciate that. Now, before we end, like I said, I want to keep going for a second till we hit the hour. I want to talk about USARK, man, because you're down in Florida, you're ground zero. USARK is so important. Please, everybody, if you can, get a membership. I don't even care if you get a membership. Just tell people USARK, spread the word. They need help. Now, my question to you is, I feel like USARK should be better. We have these content creators that have 1 million subscribers. Hell, I got 70,000 subscribers. And when I go to the USARK page, they might have 10,000 or 15,000 subscribers. So my question to you is, what do you think we could do to increase USARK's social media presence? Do you think they should figure out a way to be more sensational? What do you think we could do to draw more people to USARK?
So I wouldn't be more sensational, just because depends, right? You got to choose your battles. For example, when this whole thing in Florida happened with the boa that they kill, that's our time to be sensational, because frankly, they have been sensational. They've been exploding the Burmese python problem more than it actually is, and they're brainwashing everybody to want to kill these things, and it's the way it manipulates the communities. It manipulates public thinking, right? So at certain points we have to bring a little bit more emotion into it and touch those nerves that typically we wouldn't. But I think what they should do to grow their social media is not just share about, I know they do the alerts, like alert South Carolina, they're gonna ban this, alert this, that, and the other. They should also share things that are like wholesome, reptile videos that are wholesome. Just repost stuff that a lot of people, that things that are already viral or that are trending to go viral, because that's gonna have more people follow them, maybe for those things, but they're also going to get some of the other stuff that is important as well. So I used to manage Rapashi's Instagram account, and I got him from, they had 0 followers. I got him up to like 50,000 followers. And that's basically one of my strategies. Was I wasn't just promoting Rapashi. I was also, posting things that are cute little videos of a hognose snake, or a funny video of a bearded dragon. Things like that are going to get more of like the general public's attention, and then you could kind of like sneak in the legislation stuff here and there and have them actually do something about it. But I think being a little bit more lighthearted and more wholesome videos instead of sensationalizing everything, I think that would go a long way for them.
I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree. So please, man, make sure y'all go check out USARK's Instagram, the YouTube, subscribe to their website, get a membership, donate, whatever you can, support USARK because they support us. You always want to talk about that. Now, just for shits and giggles, I want to have a little fun, David. Let's say we were raising money for USARK and we had a championship wrestling match between our top content creators. I'm going to go down the list and I want you to tell me, who do you think will win? And we're trying to raise money for you. Sorry, we were having a fake wrestling match. So let's start it off. Jay Brewer, Brian Barczyk. Who do you think will win in a fake wrestling match? Who wins?
I think Jay Brewer has the weight advantage.
Dude, that was my exact response. I was like, he got a couple cheeseburgers on Barczyk.
But he has been getting in shape. Last week, couple videos I seen him, I'm like, oh man, he's losing some weight. But even then, he still has the height and weight advantage, I think.
I seen that too. I definitely said the same thing. I was like, Brewer do seem like he's getting a little skinnier. But anyways, now let's keep going. I want to have fun. Let's see. Let's do Dave Kaufman versus Kevin McCurley.
Ooh, that's a good one. Dave is a big dude, but I do know Kevin does some jiu-jitsu and some martial arts, so I'll go with Kevin.
See, I don't know. David, I'm going to tell you something. This is my answer, and I'm going to tell you why. Everybody tells me Kevin knows martial arts, like you said, jiu-jitsu. That doesn't matter. If you can know jiu-jitsu, but if the person you're fighting is 9 foot tall, like Dave Kaufman scares me. I think he's a Viking. I've never seen him in real life, but in my mind, he's 12 feet tall.
He's a giant. He's literally a mountain man from, I don't know. He's crazy.
Let me tell you something. You remember when Kevin went to Africa?
Yeah.
I feel like he went over there with Dingo, right?
Yeah.
I feel like if Dave Kaufman went to Africa and a rhino charged him, Dave could put one hand out and stop the rhino.
He probably could, bro. He's Bigfoot. That's what I call him, Bigfoot.
All right, now the next one. Let's see. Chandler's Wildlife versus Tyler Nolan.
Chandler or Tyler? I think Chandler.
Yeah, Chandler is a little more crazier on the wild side.
Bodied up. And I'm the Tyler, but you gotta be honest.
All right, now what about this? What about this one? Adam Wickens versus Clint's Reptiles.
That's Adam. That's Adam. 10 out of 10 times. Clint is nice of a guy.
All right, two more, then I'll be done. Two more. Damn it, what was the one I was thinking of? Brian Cusco versus Garrett Hartle.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. He's Hawaiian, right? Isn't Brian Cusco? Yeah. Those guys are scrappy, man. I think
I agree because he's Hawaiian. I said the same thing. I said the Rock is Hawaiian. I said the Rock is Hawaiian. So I know Brian Cusco because he's Hawaiian like the Rock.
Yeah.
All right, now last one. You and your business partner. I believe his name is like Manny. You and Manny.
Me and Manny, who would win?
Yeah, who would win?
Bro, that ain't a question. I would whoop him.
I'm gonna tag Manny. Did you hear that? USART champion wrestling match. David said he whoop you, Manny. So we got to see that, man.
Whoop him. Whoop everybody else on that you listed and you named too. I'll whoop all of them.
I love it, man. Well, I want to tell you, we went an hour, man. I had a freaking blast talking to you. I always do. You gave us a lot of knowledge when it comes to geckos. Just there's a reason you are where you are. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, bro. Thank you. I appreciate it for sure.
Now, before I end, I want to do something for the YouTube. Brian Barczyk, I've had him on the podcast, and he'll tell you, you can have an amazing video, but nobody will watch it if you don't have a good thumbnail. So on the count of 3, I want to make a thumbnail face. Are you down?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, my God, man. David, I appreciate you so much for coming on here, man. You my brother, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Eric, I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for always bringing that awesome energy, and I always love being a part of this podcast, man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, brother. Tiki's Geckos, man. Thank you so much, bro.
See ya.
Woo! Tiki's Geckos, man. Big David. There's a reason, that Tiki's Geckos is where they are. They are gecko giants, and there's a reason for that. And that's what this podcast is about. It's about, I want my podcast to be an hour-long place where people can come and learn, but not just learn, have fun. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's about. It's about reptile keepers coming together, learning, and having fun. I feel like that if you go on a podcast and if it's boring, nobody's gonna want to watch it, man. So I'm excited. That was a fun one. We learned a lot. We'll do a quick recap. We talked about his proposal. We learned about a new gecko line he just made a first one. We talked about wild caught and captive bred. We talked about Toki Geckos. We talked about the dreaded Crested Gecko frog butt. We talked about Gecko Diets. They're coming out with a new diet. Be on the lookout for that. Tiki's Geckos, Gecko Diet. So make sure you're checking that out. We talked about, jumping into the gecko game, starting, and what you could do to elevate your game. Jumping in, learning, and elevating, because that's what it's about. You don't do something to stay in the same place. You want to elevate. So he gave us a lot of good tips. We talked about social media, just being on social media. That's so important. We talked about Reptile Expos and USART, man, and that's what it's about. It was an hour-long podcast filled with gems. So if you're watching this, I appreciate you. Tiki's Geckos, man. This weekend, I want to say Friday, we are bringing on Jerome from No Limit Royals, and that's going to be an excellent podcast. So we'll be back at you Friday. Make sure you check out all our podcast supporters, Ozzy Boys, Basement Pythons, Heathen Hatchery, Stone Age Ball Pythons, Mile High Mutations, Morphin Ambitions, Large Marge Morse, MKL Exotics, Fries Critters, Mad River Serpents, just all our supporters. You already know Ball Pythons. If you support this podcast, I appreciate you. I enjoy it, and I enjoy you for watching. Until next time, man. This is Derek, and this is Big Reptile Talk. Until next time, I'm out of here. Peace.
Big Reptile Talk.